Hello, and what is up, everybody? It's me, Marty the Meatman here, your host of Cross Court Coverage, your all-NBA Celtics-focused podcast, proudly brought to you by, proudly partnered with Boston Sports Zone Network. BSZ is where it's at. We have all four major sports in the Boston, New England area. We have coverage for the Celtics right here, the New England Patriots, the Boston Bruins, and the Boston Red Sox. So be sure to check out the whole network, check out all the shows, throw them a like, subscribe, follow on whatever podcast format you listen on, both live and audio, video, YouTube, all of it covered by BSZ. We also want to give a shout out to our friends over at longshotsusa.com. That's longshotsusa.com. where you can get your own personalized, handcrafted, handmade, one owner, one operator, one guy doing it all, high quality stuff, personalized shot skis. If you got a party going on and you want to rip a shot with 6 people, why not add a little fun to it? Get yourself a personalized shot ski. Check out longshotsusa.com. Tell them Marty the Meatman sent you. I don't know what that'll do for you, but tell them that Marty the Meatman sent you. And we'll see what we can do for you. And then last but certainly not least, we also have to shout out the merch store where you can get a sick hat, just like I'm rocking today. It's at cross-court-coverage-shop.fourthwall.com to pick up merch. If you follow that website, where can I pull it up? Is it that one? No, wrong button. Give me 1 second. There we go. If you go to the website, you will find, where to stay connected, how to follow us. You can also check out the collection of stickers. There's mugs. You got t-shirts, hoodies, hats of all different kinds. So, check out the merch store. I'd really appreciate it. Now I'm not on the screen. That's fun. How do I get back on here? There we go. So check out the merch store. Like I always say, it is not about turning a profit. It is not about making money. It is just about being walking billboards for this show and what I do here for all y'all. So what's up, everybody? It is another week, episode 121 of Cross Court Coverage, playoff bound, 12 years running, and I'm excited. I mean, the NBA is in the perfect place right now where it's the end of the year, and for some teams that doesn't matter. For some teams, it's tankpocalypse. For some teams, it's about seeding in the playoffs. And for some teams, they've already punched their ticket, and they don't really care. The Celtics happen to be one of those teams that punched their ticket. Obviously, we like being the 2 seed, but we'll see how that all shakes out in the next week and a half or so. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm burying the lead. Let's dive into, as always, every week we do it, news and headlines from around the league. And the first headline this week is an exciting one. The NBA expansion is officially in motion. The NBA Board of Governors have approved moving forward with the expansion exploration. The 2 cities of focus, we already knew this, were Seattle and Las Vegas. They're expecting $7 to $10 billion per team, which is astronomical, but that's the price of doing business these days. It would move the league to a 32-team league. It would probably move 2 teams out from the West out to the Eastern Conference, which would be interesting to see. A lot of people are saying that's probably going to be the Timberwolves. Maybe Memphis, maybe the Pelicans, but the Timberwolves seem to be like the clearest team that's going to move to the East. Timberwolves fans might be really excited about that because everyone likes to pretend that the East is really, really easy. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. Like, the Celtics make it mincemeat every year, but doesn't mean it's that easy. All right. But it is it is exciting. We have a chat here. Would an expansion increase the length of the season? Shout out to Amanda in the chat. No, an expansion would not increase the length of the schedule. If anything, they might actually. It also plays into like the 65 game rule and also the player participation rule, but they're thinking of possibly shortening the season. We probably won't see that for another 3-4 years of actually being solidified, but it would change divisions. They might do away with divisions completely because they don't really mean anything in the NBA. It would change matchups because if they do away with divisions, then you're not going to be required to play teams that the Celtics wouldn't be required to play the Hornets like 4 times a year or 3 times a year or whatever the tally is. So it would just change the structure of the schedule. It wouldn't necessarily change the schedule length itself. But it's not a when, it's more of it's not an if, it's a when the expansion is going to happen. It's just about finding buyers. It's about finding people who are willing to, be the owners of 2 new teams in the organization. And it's super exciting. As for, some just overall, like how the expansion would work, we've seen an expansion in the NBA multiple times when the ABA merger with the creation of the Vancouver Grizzlies, then with the creation of the Charlotte Bobcats, then basically every team's going to get 8 players to protect. Every other player on your team then becomes basically a quote unquote free agent for the day. And the new teams will get to draft whoever they want that isn't protected. So it'll be interesting when we get to the process. Obviously, it's going to be probably a year from now before we even think of the offseason expansion. But it will be exciting to see how teams navigate that and what teams protect who. And if any star players or, former star players will fall through the cracks. But all of that is yet to be seen. All of that is yet to be discussed. We're in the baby stages. We are in the first footsteps of the expansion of the NBA. Next headline. Oh, Adam Silver. Oh, Adam. The anti-tanking rule, or rules, or maybe none of them. The changes are coming, allegedly. And by that, I mean they've come up with 3 proposals to change the tanking policy, to change the tanking culture in the NBA. Again, I don't think that this is necessary. Again, I don't think that there's truly a tanking problem in the NBA. Like, we already have a lottery. We already have odds attached to people who are in the bottom 14 teams. So it's even more anti-tanking than the NFL or, well, every other league has a lottery. But the NFL, doesn't have a tanking problem. Like, they're not worried about it. But the NBA is. They're like, oh, we have to do something about it. So they've proposed 3 different rules. One of them likely will be, picked up. The vote is going to happen in May. So the 3 proposals are: 1, an expanded 18-team lottery. Seeds 7 through 15 in both conferences. Bottom 10 teams would get 8% odds each. The remaining 20% would be spread across the teams 11 to 18. So they would expand the lottery to 18 teams. The 10 worst teams would all have a flat 8% rate. Okay, I mean, I get it. Like, there's no incentive to be the very worst team in the NBA, but there still is incentive to be in the bottom 10. And if you have more than 10 teams in that category, you're still going to have a tank off. You're still going to have tankpocalypse. So I don't know that proposal really fixes tanking. Again, I really don't think tanking needs fixing. I'm throwing air quotes everywhere. I don't really know where to put them. Proposal 2 is the 2-year performance lottery, consisting of 22 teams. This will include seeds 7 through 15 and first round playoff exit teams in both conferences. It will use a 2-year record sample, minimum win floor of 25 games. I don't know how you can instill a minimum win floor. Teams below that floor will be adjusted upward. and the top 4 picks will be drawn. That's it. So there will be a 4-team lottery based off of 2-year performance. That doesn't really do anything, because if there's only 4 teams in the lottery, then team 5, if they're the 5th worst team, they can angle to be the 5th worst team and basically guarantee having a 1 through 5 pick, or 1 through the 5th pick. None of these make sense. Proposal 3, the 5x5 lottery system. The bottom 5 teams all have equal odds for the number 1 pick. The lottery determines picks 1 through 5 only. The bottom 5 teams must meet a 10-win minimum. Again, how do you instill a minimum win count for a team? And teams outside the top 5 are sorted separately. None of these really make any sense to me. None of these scream like, oh, there's no way to find a loophole, or there's no way to navigate being the worst team and getting the number 1 pick. It still feels like there's a system to be gamed. So why are we going to change the rules at all if you can still do what we're doing right now? It doesn't make any sense. Not one of these proposals stands out to me as like, oh, that'll fix it. But Adam Silver decided that the sports books and, the money that he's getting from them are more important than the product, and feel a needs to change the situation in the NBA. So Adam's brainchild of anti-tanking is getting voted on in May. We'll see which proposal they go for, or if there becomes a magical 4th or 5th proposal. I don't really know. Doesn't really make any sense to me, but whatever. Next headline, the injury watch. Steph Curry is still out. I know that I gave an update probably 2 weeks ago saying that he was going to be reevaluated in a week. Well, again, the headline this week is that he's going to be reevaluated in yet another week. This will make him out for 25 straight games for the Warriors. The Warriors are currently sitting at the 10 seed, and they are locked in to a play-in game. So, honestly, if I'm Steph, if I'm the Warriors, punt the rest of the regular season. Like, I understand, like, he might have to get up to game speed. Like, give him 1 or 2 showings, maybe. But there's a week and a half left of basketball before the playoffs start. You don't need to push him out there. You don't need to rush it. Like, obviously, this has been a lingering injury. This has been a lingering issue. And it's not great for their odds. I mean, they are the 10 seed. They have an uphill battle to getting into the playoffs at all. The season was a wash, in my opinion, when Jimmy Butler went down. But now that Steph's been out for 25 games, write it up as an L. Like, I don't see the Warriors making any kind of push, making any kind of like deep run into the playoffs at all. But I am hoping that Steph Curry can get healthy for the play-in game at least. I don't need to see him in the regular season, but it would be sad to see the Warriors go down without, their best player. When it comes to the playoffs, I want every team healthy. I want every team playing at their best. I want every team giving it their all. And a team without Steph Curry, a Warriors team without Steph Curry, when they're already missing Jimmy Butler, is going to be a cakewalk for whoever ends up being the 7 seed in the West. And then whoever, they're done if they lose that game. So there's that. Next headline, this is an interesting one. The Chicago Bulls have waived Jaden Ivey following anti-LGBTQ comments. Reports cite that he's made multiple public rants involving religion and other topics. Immediate roster move. The video dropped and they cut him. Like they did it within the same day. Basically, if you haven't seen the videos already, Jaden Ivey decided to go on IG Live. He started to, talk about his faith and his religion and how that ties into how he feels about Pride Night and the LGBTQ community. And there's a time and place for religion, and I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to say, oh, he can't be religious. Oh, he can't have his beliefs. You totally can. But when you subscribe to beliefs that make you cast hate on other people, there's no tolerance for that. This is a league that is trying to grow and trying to be supportive and trying to be inclusive. And that kind of, he called the LGBTQ community unrighteous. It's something he kept, and he also kept banging on the word proclaim. I don't think he knows what proclaim means, but whatever. Look, I'm, you can pick whatever side you can. I've seen people argue that he's, in his right. It's about his religious beliefs, yada, yitza. I don't want to touch that. Whatever. Your religious beliefs are your religious beliefs, and you can think and you feel however you want. But you are a public figure. And to go on social media and spew hate and follow a rhetoric of, calling a certain group of people unrighteous and basically wrong, and the rant and rave that he was going on. Like, one, I don't think he's mentally well right now. I do think that there's something else going on. I don't think it's just a religious rant. I do think that, a switch might be off, and I hope that he can get, professional help, because it's not good to see anyone go through something like that. But that does not excuse his actions. That does not excuse his words. And, shout out to the Bulls for doing right by the league, doing right by the LGBTQ fans. I mean, I saw a tweet earlier today, and it was, I'm going to paraphrase, but it was from someone of the LGBTQ community. And they were like, it's crazy being a fan of sports when you're in this community, because out of nowhere, someone who could be your favorite player randomly just says they hate you. And that's fucking terrible. That is a terrible thing to deal with or feel. It's the year 2026. Let's be real. The NBA is not telling you that you have to live your life in a certain way. It's not telling you that you have to be, think a certain way or anything like that. It's just saying let people love the people that they love. And if you have a problem with that, keep it to your fucking self. That's it. That's all the NBA is saying. But he decided to go on IG Live, go on social media, and make a whole big deal about it. Make a very public statement. It's all I saw on the timeline yesterday, and mostly what I've seen today as well. People are dragging him left and right. Like I said, people are coming to his defense. People are, I'm not touching the religion part of it. I could. That's not what this podcast is about. This podcast is about basketball. And here's the thing. The NBA is a league of trying to, perpetuate the right culture. Now, I'm not saying they get it right all the time. There's, to see the Bulls handle this situation is a step in the right direction. But there are plenty of teams, Charlotte, who support domestic abusers or, people who commit other heinous crimes. And we need to stay consistent. We need to hold people accountable for being violent, for spewing hate. That's not needed in this league. Those people do not deserve millions of dollars. Those people do not deserve a platform to spew such hate. Those people do not deserve, the lights and sounds and all the circumstance that comes with being an NBA player. So, again, I think the Bulls handled it well. I haven't seen any interaction from the league itself. Adam Silver hasn't really made a public statement about it. He kind of kept it in-house. He let the Bulls handle it. But, yeah, wild. Really wild for that to just pop up. And I saw it before, it caught, fire, really. I was, scrolled past it, and I was like, what is Jaden Ivey talking about? And then I, saw everyone blow up, and I went back to watch it, and I was like, this guy is off his rocker. So, you live, you learn, you make mistakes. Sure. I don't think that's what's happening here. I think that was a hateful speech. I think that was, very just from a place of hate. And there's no room for that in the NBA. We're trying to make this a league of acceptance. Basketball is for everybody. Basketball is for everyone. Man, woman, child, gay, straight, anything else. No religion, no nothing. Basketball is for everybody. And if you're going to take away from that, or if you're going to speak out against that, I hope the league handles you, because That's ridiculous. This is a sport that, should be accessible to everyone, and everyone should feel confident and happy enjoying it. And unfortunately, Jaden Ivey made that so that wasn't the case for a lot of people. So glad the Bulls took care of it. And, a lot of people were joking that Charlotte's going to pick him up. I swear to God, if the Hornets will need to be investigated for just debauchery if they pick up Jaden Ivey. But that's all I have to say on that topic. Moving on to award nominations, we have speaking of culture, we have two culture-driven awards that just dropped the finalist lists. There's some real, they're fun awards. They're not, MVP. They're not, Defensive Player of the Year, but two fun awards. So the 2025-26 Sportsmanship Award finalists are headlined by Derek White, TJ McConnell, Bam Adebayo, with other names such as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Al Horford, and Harrison Barnes. This is an award about being a good sport and being professional and having respect and doing it the right way every night. It's a little interesting to have SGA on that list. I don't know how you can talk about sportsmanship and respect for the game and doing it the right way. I'm not one of those people who truly dog on Shai for the foul baiting, but it is funny. We know that narrative is there, so it is funny to see SGA put in the sportsmanship category, because I'm sure there are a lot of people who are like, what the fuck do you mean, SGA? The second award is the Tywin Stokes Teammate of the Year Award. It is a list full of glue guys and locker room pillars. You've got Jalen Brunson, Drew Holiday, Jeff Green. Jeff Green is still in the NBA. That's crazy. There's also Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox, Desmond Bane, Pat Connaughton, DeAndre Jordan, Duncan Robinson, Marcus Smart, Garrett Temple, and Jalen Williams. J Will, not J Dub. I think I got those nicknames right. It's a mix of stars and vets and, tone setters and culture guys, guys that you want in the locker room. I'm obviously biased in both of these awards. I think that Derek White is a great sportsman. I think that Jason Tatum is a fantastic teammate, and I would love to see both these guys get those awards. It's these awards aren't exactly like, oh, look at the talent, look at the skill. It's more like, no, look at the foundation for winning basketball. So these are like under the radar awards that don't normally get talked about, but I thought it was cool. So that the finalists got announced today. Jason Tatum is the teammate of the year, dude. Like, he's been with this team through the whole rehab process. And Derek White is just such a good fucking guy. Like, he deserves sportsmanship. You keep snubbing him for All-Star. Please give my guy an award. Please give him some hardware to take home. He deserves it. Speaking of the Celtics and awards, Jason Tatum. This guy right fucking here. Last week, I went on a rant and rave. I was hooting and hollering. I was talking about how all y'all need to get off of Jason Tatum's dick and let the guy play some fucking basketball. And I don't know. I don't know if JT listens to Cross Court. I don't know if he saw the show. I don't know if someone was like, hey, look at this crazy dude in your corner. I don't know. But Jason Tatum did win Eastern Conference Player of the Week this week. So to go from everyone saying he's washed to being Eastern Conference Player of the Week might be the cross-court effect. I don't know. He was averaging 29.7 points this week, 8.3 rebounds, 5.7 assists on efficient shooting. Jason Tatum's going to Jason Tatum. Tatum is always going to Tatum, and it doesn't matter if he's coming back from an Achilles injury. It doesn't matter if he's, been ripping and roaring all year. This is the level of basketball that we expect when Jason Tatum's on the floor. So it was only due time. It is proper vindication for me and everyone that was banging the drum to let Jason Tatum just cook. He will knock the rust off. He will come back with a vengeance. But have it happen in a week. Thanks, JT. I don't look like a crazy person. Speaking of Tatum and his recent tear and the Celtics and everything green, the Celtics, as I said earlier in the episode, have clinched the playoffs yet again. 12 years in a row, the Celtics have clinched the playoffs. They now tie the 9th longest streak in the NBA history. They own the longest active streak in the NBA, and this marks their 3rd longest playoff streak in franchise history. Not only that, Brad Stevens was hired as the Celtics head coach in 2013. He inherited a lottery team, and they missed the playoffs. Since then, since 2014 on, it was 7 years of Brad coaching and 5 years of Brad being a GM, and they have made the playoffs every time. 12 years running. And you gotta love to see it. And wow, Brad has been amazing. And Brad is a huge part of the success that the Celtics have seen in these 12 years. The last 4 years can go to one guy and one guy only. Well, no, 2 guys, because I'm going to keep Brad there. You know, in Brad we trust. You can't take that away from him ever. But Joe Mazzulla has his name in the running for Coach of the Year this year. This is his 4th season as the Boston Celtics head coach. This is the 4th season with him having 50 wins under his belt as a head coach. He has the all-time winning percentage for an NBA coach with a minimum of 300 games. And Joe Mazzulla, our fearless leader, was asked, "What do you think of the Coach of the Year award? You know, you're a nominee. Like, you could definitely win it this year." He said, "It's a stupid award." And he does not give a shit. He does not care. And what a perfect way for Joe Mazzulla to handle that question. It is the most Joe Mazzulla answer I've ever heard. And he continues to be himself and impress me day in and day out. So never change, Coach. We appreciate you and all that you do. And if you get the hardware, let him keep it in the garden. You know, you don't have to keep it at home. Let him keep it in the garden. We'll take the fanfare. The Celtics fans would appreciate you winning Coach of the Year. I know you won't, but we would. It'd be a "we told you so" for a lot of us. But moving over to the games that the Celtics played this week. The Celtics played 4 games. They had a record of 3-1 in that stretch. And I think I called that last week. I told you I wasn't giving you predictions, but I said we probably will lose a game to the Hawks, and we did. So I kind of got the prediction right. The Celtics played the Thunder, the Hawks, the Hornets, and then the Hawks again. Winning, like I said, 3 of the 4. And putting themselves still at second in the East, only 4 games behind the Detroit Pistons, 2 games ahead of the 3rd place Knicks. The Knicks, Pistons, and Celtics are the only 3 teams in the East to clinch the playoffs. It is a wide open run from 4 to 10 at this point. And it'll be interesting to see how the next week and a half shake out. But we have punched our ticket and we don't have anything to worry about. So we'll count our blessings there. Going over to the game recaps. The first game, like I said, was against the Thunder. I was worried about the last game and how we got reffed at the end. Nope. This game went way better. Celtics win this game 119-109. It was a pretty decently contested game. I mean, there wasn't a lot of lead changes, but it did have ebbs and flows. There was a little bit of a middle of the game, like, oh, here's a swing, oh, here's a swing. But the Thunder started the game with the lead and had it just before halftime. And then going into halftime, it was a lot closer. Coming out of halftime, OKC pulled the lead back. And then somewhere in the third quarter, the Celtics really turned it on and took over the game and got the W. And you love to see it because after getting reffed only one game before, like, this would be a hell of a 7-game series. If this not foreshadowing anything, but if this is the NBA Finals, this is going to be a fantastic NBA Finals between the Celtics and the Thunder. Moving over to player stats, we had Jason Tatum with 19 points, 12 rebounds. Love to see JT get a double-double, 7 assists. He also had 3 steals and 1 block, getting stocks as well as doing it on the offensive end. Neemias Queta had 13 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. Derek White, 12 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists. No stocks for Derek White. And I haven't checked the statistics on this, but if Derek White doesn't get a block or a steal, I don't know what our win percentage is. But we got the win here, so we'll take it. Jaylen Brown had 31 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals. Coming off the bench, Peyton Pritchard had 14 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block. You love a Peyton Pritchard block. You love to see it. And Baylor Shireman had himself a game, 11 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Moving over to the team stats, the Celtics out-rebounded the Oklahoma City Thunder 43-35. The Celtics did have more turnovers. We had 13. They had 7. Shooting from the field, the Celtics hit 47% of their shots. The Thunder hit 48%. And from beyond the arc, the Celtics hit 44% of their three-pointers, while the Thunder only hit 32%. So we get a W. We beat a team that everyone thinks is going to be a shoo-in, a clear walk to the finals. And we split the season series against them 1-1. Next game was against the Hawks. Again, Celtics are at home. They win this game 109-102. It was a Celtics-Hawks game. You never know what you're going to get when it's Celtics versus Hawks. Sometimes they whoop our ass for no reason. Sometimes it's a close battle. This one, it was a close battle in the second and third quarter. They had the first, we had the fourth, and I'd rather have the fourth than the first. So that's a W in the column. Moving over to the player stats, we have Jason Tatum with 26 points, 12 rebounds, another double-double, and 5 assists. Sam Hauser had 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Neemias Queta had 5 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. 5 assists from Neemias Queta. I'm sorry, that stunned me for a second. I was like, wait, that can't be right. No, it's right. And a block. D. White with 10 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. And Baylor Shireman got to start here. There was no JB in this game because he was dealing with Achilles tendonitis, which is a fucking trigger word for all of us in Celtics Nation. We saw Achilles on the goddamn injury report, and I think all of our draws hit the floor. But JB has returned to basketball, so it was just a flare-up. It was just a little thing. Nothing to be too concerned about. Yeah, so Celtics win this game. Moving over to the team stats. Celtics had 52 rebounds, out-rebounding the 35 the Hawks had. Celtics did have more turnovers. We had 16. The Hawks had 4. Shooting-wise, the Celtics shot them out of the gym. Celtics hit 47% of their field goals, while the Hawks only hit 39%. And from beyond the arc, the Celtics hit 40% of their three-pointers, and the Hawks only hit 36%. So we move another W into the column. And then we play the Charlotte Hornets, who have been on fire as of late. But we have a new, improved, freshly unpackaged Jason Tatum, who goes off for 32 points, getting his first 30 bomb of the season. And you're like, oh, it's so late in the season. Let's not forget he missed 298 days with a torn goddamn Achilles. And only a week and a half later, he's dropping 30 points. The Anomaly was the right nickname. We weren't ready for it. But the script knew. They knew that Jason Tatum was going to be tried and tested. And the Anomaly was the right name. Because this guy is one of one. So Celtics win this game 114-99. it was not competitive. I do not care that the Hornets are, red hot this year, and they're so exciting. And Con Knippel is Rookie of the Year. Fantastic. Guess what? The Celtics are still the Celtics, and when it's Celtics Hornets on the schedule, you best believe we're getting a runaway win. Full 3/4 shellacking. Like, they kept it close in the first. Good for them. Rest of the game, Celtics had it in the bag, did not look back, had him in the rear view, and just kept driving forward. Moving over to the player stats, we had Jason Tatum, like I said, with 32 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, and 1 block. Neemias Queta had 17 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. Peyton Pritchard had 28 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal. And then coming off the bench, we had Baylor Shireman with 14 points, 1 rebound, 3 assists. Oh, yeah. We didn't have Derek White in this game either. No JB, no Derek White, no problem. Celtics beat up on the NBA darling that is the Charlotte Hornets. The look at their net rating, Charlotte Hornets. See you later, losers. Speaking of losers, the Celtics go back, this time in Atlanta, to play the Hawks and catch an L. So we split the season series against the Hawks 2-2. God damn it, I hate it. We lose this game 112-102. This one was a much more tightly contested battle for the first 2 quarters. And then come the third, the Hawks said, nah, we got this. And they did got this because they kicked our asses for 2 quarters. The second half was not good for the C's. That's fine. That'll happen every once in a while. You get a stinker. It happens. I do believe Jason Tatum also took a day off for rehab, so not my problem. not my problem. And I'm not gonna blame JB for being the number 1 option again, because I also saw people being like, "Oh, look, Jalen can't win when Tatum's not there." It's like, he did all season. What the fuck are you talking about? But okay. Moving over to the team or the player stats, Luka Garzilla went off for 20 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block. Derek White had 7 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks. And that is usually a recipe for a win. And I hate to say it, but the tried and true method of a Derek White stock might not be tried and true. Jaylen Brown had 29 points, 10 rebounds, double-double for himself, 9 assists, almost triple-doubled. He did have 6 turnovers, which has been a problem as of late. He needs to get those turnover numbers down, but he is also aware of it. And it's also the end of the season. It's regular season basketball. Who gives a shit? When it's the playoffs, you tighten it up. It'll be fine. Coming off the bench, Peyton Pritchard had 16 points, 2 rebounds, and no other stats. So, not a great game for the fellas. And that's okay. You don't have to go out there and put out the best game every freaking time. That's, it'd be nice, but it doesn't have to happen. We can lose games. That's okay. I'm the guy who's been sitting here for the past 3 or 4 years saying, I don't care if the Celtics are the 6th seed in the goddamn East. Just punch your ticket to the playoffs and worry about it later. It does not matter. This is the Celtics regular season. This is the preseason. Year in and year out, the whole 82-game regular season for all other teams is important. For us, it's a fucking preseason to the playoffs that we always get to. 12 years in a row, playoffs. We're not concerned. We're not worried. Stay on that side. Team stats in this game. Celtics out-rebound the Hawks 48-45. Celtics have more turnovers. They have 15. The Hawks have 11. Shooting-wise, the Hawks beat us in both categories. Field goal percentage, the Celtics hit 41% of their shots. The Hawks hit 47%. And then from beyond the arc, the Celtics hit 38% of their shots, and the Hawks hit 39% of their shots. So, whatever. We'll take an L in Atlanta. But it was JB's contribution to his hometown. Let's do that. Let's say that. JB's from ATL. He said, "You know what, Hawks? Here's a W. Here's a W for you guys. Take it. Just take it. We'll hold the L. It's fine. Don't worry about it." What a nice guy Jaylen Brown is. But that's it for the games last week. And before I announce the games coming up for the end of the season, we will not have a show next week, April the 7th. It is my anniversary. I will be celebrating that with my lovely lady. So we will not have a show, but we will come back the week after that, the 14th, to wrap up the regular season and dive into playoff basketball. So with that being said, the Celtics schedule upcoming and the finale of the regular season goes like this. Wednesday, April the 1st at Miami. Friday, April the 3rd at Milwaukee. Sunday, April the 5th versus back at home, Toronto. Tuesday, April the 7th versus back at home against Charlotte. Thursday, April 9th at the wrong Garden, playing against the Knicks. And then Friday, April 10th. Yes, Friday, April 10th, home against the Pelicans. And the final game of the season will be Sunday, April the 12th versus Orlando. And by that time, ladies and gentlemen, we will know what the landscape of the playoff is going to look like, who the matchups are going to be. When we come back on April the 14th, we are going to do a full-blown playoff breakdown. I will get my bracket ready. I will tell you who I think is going to win the whole kit and caboodle. I also will tell you who might upset some teams in the playoffs. We'll just have to wait and see. But 2 weeks from now, I'll see you again. So that was news and headlines from around the league. That is your Celtics update. And the last thing to do is sign this son of a bitch off. So, as always and forever and always, I am Marty the Meatman. You are the wonderful, amazing, and I am oh so grateful for you, listeners and viewers. Together, we are cross-court coverage. The Celtics are sitting at 50-25, second seed in the East. There is so little basketball left. There is 7 games, to be exact. And we are ripping and roaring and ready for the playoffs because Jason Tatum's back. Jaylen Brown is MVP. Derek White is Defensive Player of the Year. And yeah, I know none of these are probably right, but I got the microphone, so I can say it. But while we take a week off, and in these next 7 games, I want to hear you loud and proud. I want to hear you chant the mantra from the top of your lungs. Because for these next 7 games and through the playoffs, there is one thing that is true and one thing only. And it is, go Celtics or go fuck yourself. Peace.